Hi, welcome to Event Ready Podcast, where we talk about our roller coaster ride of being a live event artist.
So, if you're a painter, calligrapher, or illustrator, this podcast is for you.
Because we're about to uncover the secrets, the stories, and the struggles in the industry. This is your host, Michelle.
And I'm Telisa.
And I'm Isabel.
Hi, welcome back to Event Ready Podcast. We are now on episode 4 on season 2. And we're talking about social media, why we need it as a live event artist. So Michelle, do you wanna spill the
Yeah.
truth statement?
Yes. So social media is fun, but it is also an extension of your personal branding. So it pretty much amplifies your voice and your personality.
And if we think about your website, which we talked extensively about last episode, if we think about your website as the resume, we like to think of social media as the interview. Where clients get to see how you talk, see how you act, how you interact with your audience. It's a very important part of our branding.
I really love that analogy.
I love analogies. I don't know if that's super obvious enough on the podcast yet, but it's like how I talk. It's how I present so many things. Our entire group chat, the three of us, it's like just filled with my analogies about life and art.
Isabel's the analogy queen.
It is. She is. It's like, ooh, I get it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it like makes total sense. Okay, so we're gonna jump into the experience expertise portion of this episode. When it comes to social media, I mean, there are so many different ones. There are three that we want to talk about, which is the Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest. So, Instagram, I think is the most popular one, that is most frequently used by clients. Not that they would like DM you for a job. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. It does happen. But I do notice that a lot of sales associates, a lot of marketing um marketing professionals who are in charge of the hiring decision are using social media, and they actually ended up following you after you start working with them.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, they don't you they so the steps usually, like, you get inquire maybe through your Google, like through your website, and then what's it's all, and then they look at your Instagram to kind of see like if we like if they like, can perform what we are looking for. Is it aligned to the brand? Because there were definitely some clients that have asked both for Instagram and website. If they didn't have any, if it was like a referral, and once, like, it all move forward, they start following you, and you may not even know who they are. They just silently following you. I've
Yeah,
gotten
and
that.
because
Yeah.
sometimes like they don't even use like a business profile. Like you can't tell that they are, the marketing manager for blah 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 brand. It's just this is just Sarah's personal account, and she just like follows people using it, and you have no idea that that could be
You
a
have no
potential
idea.
client. And they're just under the radar. They
Yeah.
know. And I think like it's a useful tool because it's so visual, that people are like they see your website, and it's got like all the like curated like perfect images. It's very like nicely presented, but social media is just like more raw, right? Like you get to see the artist like doing the work on site, like the guests standing around their table. Like it shows so much more. So I think clients do um browse that a little bit and see like and check it out. And it's like their way of verifying too that like, oh, you are in
Yeah.
fact on site and you have done this
Yeah.
live.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
So yeah, like that's such a big factor for like you said, they're kind of just like following you, watching you, seeing what you're up to, and sometimes like it's a good example. I just thought of sometimes when it's a repeat client, and I go back to the store or back to um another job with them, and they're like, "Oh, I've seen you've been so busy, and oh, you've been
Mhm.
doing that, you've been doing that. Oh,
Yeah.
I really like that thing that you did for what?" And I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
God, you see all of that."
Oh my God, which one were you?
Hmm.
And they watch your stories too.
Yeah.
It's almost like, like when you're a corporate job, oh, my boss started following me. So now you have to watch what you're doing.
You just like tighten up a little bit. You're like, oh, maybe not the picture of like my messy living room or something. I don't know. Like just tidy that up a little bit.
It's so accurate. It's so much fun. Like you can put like videos on it, like you can show your work, maybe you can show like BTS. They want to see that too because your website is the best of the best. And then it comes to your Instagram, which is just a little bit more laid back, but still in a fun way. Like you can make reels and add like the trendiest songs. And you can also show yourself that, maybe you didn't get the super nice website photo, but then you still want to post the photo. So then it ends up on your social media.
That's why the analogy of the social media being the interview makes so much sense because that's the interaction. That's like, not like just a resume, like, you see a piece of paper, but it's like the
Yeah.
interaction of like, you can like that, you can like comment on it, and you can like, you know, um, really pay attention. So, um, this makes so much sense. And a lot of sales associate actually like use social media to communicate with their customers, their clients. And that's how and these sales associates usually have a lot of say, a lot of input, whether they want you back or not. And it helps with their promotional of the products or sales or whatnot. So yeah, Instagram is definitely as equally important as your website. And when you getting referred by a client that you work with, um, which happen a lot, they usually share your Instagram versus your website.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, we work with her. This is her Instagram.
I've noticed
So
that too. Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know. It's just easier to share, maybe because it's an
yeah.
app and
It's
you can
just more
just,
personal thing, I
it
guess. Maybe.
is.
Yeah. Like
I
everyone
think
can
it's just quicker.
yeah.
Like we're so used to seeing like when we get sent an Instagram share or a profile, like it's fast. It's like 3 to 5 seconds. You like see a feed and you just see like an overview of that person's work so fast. On a website, you have to navigate. You have to like click on this, open that, display this, open another page, display that. Instagram, we're so trained to see like a profile quickly. You're like, oh, I
Mhm.
really like this overall feel. And then you might click into one or two things to expand that a little bit. But it's a very quick and easy like judgment. Like, oh, I love this person's work. And you can say that within 10 seconds, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's just it's an easier way to like digest. You know how we say
That's the word I was
on a
thinking about.
website, yeah. Yeah, you know
Digestible.
how we say for webs when clients look for artists, they go through each website. It takes like 3 minutes. They take about 3 minutes per website. For Instagram, they might even spend longer time. It's just, I guess it's more addictive to like look through exactly what they're doing. So it's important to curate your feed when it comes to Instagram.
Mhm.
Um, like it's like your commercial portfolio, but like more whether you can do, static posts and reels, which we'll talk about it later. Um, but there's also other social media. There's TikTok. I personally don't find it to be used as much by brands. I don't know. Have you ever been inquired because they found you on TikTok?
No. But I think it helps the overall picture. Like if they want to go on TikTok, they can because there are some brands who are
It's
actually
there.
on TikTok. And
Yeah, like
she's
both.
posted stuff and tagged me on it too. And so I guess it just depends,
Hmm.
but very rare.
Yeah. I use TikTok as I'm more of a consumer um of a TikTok as an entertainment, but I do like to post less curated stuff on TikTok that not necessarily has much to do with live events. So like I would like post like my studio or like just less curated stuff, like something that the art that I like to do for myself and then I like to post it on TikTok. But it's just for fun. Like, sometimes I feel like I don't want it to be just a story when it's like only for 24 hours. I want it to be somewhere that's more permanent. And I still use TikTok as that. And then I've done a campaign for a brand actually, and they wanted both to be posted on Instagram and TikTok. Um and that's when I was glad that I had a TikTok, even though like I didn't really use it much as an artist. So
I
yeah.
think it helps because if someone finds you on TikTok and they want to learn more about you, then they can go the opposite
Mhm.
way. They can go from
Yeah.
TikTok to Instagram and then your website. Like we were
Mhm.
talking about the other way, but no, you never
Yeah.
know who's looking.
Yeah. It's like another extension. It's not as mine is not as active, but it helps just to have one, but it's not super important because it's not very widely used by brands.
I still get very personally stressed out by TikTok.
Tell us more.
I'm just like I am an older millennial and it's
Mhm.
just it's tough for me to get on board with TikTok. So
Yeah.
like it's far more chaotic for me to
It is though.
browse. Um and it's not as intuitive to me just because I came from like just photos on Instagram. So like that it's like too much of a leap for me something. I don't know. It's tough for me. So no, I mean I have an account on TikTok. I'll never post on it. I at some point had like copied a few videos from Instagram to like just
Yeah.
leave on there and just have that, real estate. But I can't I get sent TikToks but and then I view that thing and then I have to leave the platform.
Yeah, TikTok is just people don't like curated stuff on TikTok.
Hmm.
People like real raw storytelling stuff. And I think I don't know, this is just my guessing, but when it comes to the people that hire that are in the hiring decision in a company, they mostly look at Instagram because they are on Instagram. But the people who are on TikTok are probably just the intern of the company, so they don't really have that hiring power. Um, yeah, so it's just like I don't really spend too much time on that. Definitely more on Instagram because the clients are there more. Pinterest. Are you guys using Pinterest?
Um, just a
Eh.
little. It's
Not
like
actively.
it's another platform, like Isabel. Like I think my extent goes maybe into TikTok, and then from there, I'm like, this is too many things to manage
Mm,
by
yeah.
myself.
I
So,
think it was a one-time thing for me when I like kind of pinned a whole bunch of stuff and linked to my website, and kind of just like did all the work like kind of in one go. And it's not been updated for a long time. But I just wanted to have that pinned images and links and all that stuff. And then I just never really revisited it.
yeah, so the impact isn't that big, as much as having a website or Instagram, but it does have some impact. Because Pinterest it's an evergreen content, so Google index images from Pinterest more likely than it doesn't even index any images from Instagram. Um, I think Google indexed some TikTok content under videos, if I'm not mistaken. I've definitely seen it. So that can potentially help with the traffic. Um, what I usually do is whenever I post a new picture, I make sure that I also pin it to Pinterest, so it's also on Pinterest. So like when someone finds it on Pinterest, it goes straight to, I get a traffic. um, I care a lot about getting the traffic into my website. And have I ever been hired because of Pinterest? I have been inquired by Pinterest itself, actually. Um, but it didn't work out because of schedule conflict. But because I was actively posting on Pinterest, and then someone on the head office um, emailed me and wanted me to work with them. But it unfortunately the schedule didn't work out. But yeah, it could happen. That was the story. That someone on Pinterest was paying attention to my pin. But the thing with Pinterest is that it is, even though it's an evergreen content, it just takes time for people to finally see your content. So
Well, it's good that you
yeah,
started already. You like
yeah,
got the process
it
going.
yeah. So it's like a website. The earlier it is, the more likely you're gonna get um some clicks later on. And it took
And
me
people do
like
use
3
it
months.
for like searching for
They do.
inspiration, mood
Hmm.
board stuff. And it's sometimes, very rarely, you kind of get to see the mood board that your images were a part of. Have you had
Yeah.
that?
Mhm.
Right? When
Oh.
like like a marketing manager or events manager, they've like put together a little bit of a like a PowerPoint or Canva type presentation to present to their bosses to pitch for, like, oh, I want to organize this event for this and this and this location. And then they grab images from places. Sometimes those images are other people's, sometimes those images are yours. And they do like even sometimes screenshot like the Pinterest page when
Mhm.
they've like typed in the keyword and it's like, these are the results. This is kind of what I'm envisioning for this event. Like, Pinterest and Instagram are being used as like a search engine for them to get ideas and photos for. Um,
Oh.
yeah.
I didn't know it was coming from Pinterest.
Yeah. Because Google can index images from Pinterest. So
Yeah,
that's probably
that's
what
so
they do.
good. And it's free. Why not?
Yeah, it's totally free. It's a little bit of an effort, but then you can make it you have the Chrome extension, then it's like it's quick. Literally it takes like 5 seconds.
To link it. Yeah.
Per pin, yeah. And yeah, it does definitely help. All right, so but I guess we're gonna focus more on the whole idea of Instagram and what worked for us, and like some based on our experience. Um the one thing that I think a lot of, I wouldn't say it's a misconception, but a lot of people stressing about not having enough followers as a live event artist. And we're here to tell you that it has zero relation to
Mhm.
getting booked. Whatever your following number is, you can get like 100. You can have like 100 followers. You can still be fully booked. You can
Or you can
have,
just simply not exist on Instagram.
and then you can be fully booked.
Mhm.
Yeah.
uh, yeah.
And I can
So
confirm this. Um,
mhm,
when I went viral for one of my reels that I posted,
mhm,
um, that got me a ton of new followers, like so much. And to this day, like I didn't get any jobs from it. I had maybe some DMs that didn't go anywhere. Um, really nothing. The only thing I got was a higher number of followers. Like it didn't matter at all.
no.
It doesn't
Yeah,
even reflect on like how many likes I get because all the likes are coming from people in the community. Uh,
yeah.
the views on the reels, it's still pretty much the same. So if I would say like don't focus on that, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because you're not a content creator. I mean, you could be if that's like what you want to do. But if you're being a live event artist, your strategy is not the same as being a content creator. Most brands don't even look at your followers numbers. It's not something that will give the higher chance of being hired. It's all, again, at the end of the day, it's all the quality of your work. So you don't have to aim to get big followings or trying to be viral, because that's just gonna waste your time. Just don't stress about it.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes, we say like following doesn't matter. And I think another really good point to make is that engagement also doesn't matter. Like if that's again, like back to being a content creator, it's like, it's not even that you have a small following, but have high engagement is something to strive for. No, because if you're a content creator, engagement is important, no matter what your following size is. But for us, it's like following and engagement, they all don't matter. The existence of like being able to find you on Instagram or being able to find you on TikTok, all those things are like just added added bonus, or like it's just one more layer of where somebody could find you, and not find you in terms of like hiring you. Not Somebody's not searching on Instagram to say like I want to hire a person. I'm not saying that like that's where you're going to get the lead, but that you also exist here, and people are able to see you and see you interact with your audience, or like see the kind of stuff that you do. That's just a bonus.
Yeah, so that's just so important for you to remember that, like, don't stress. Spend more time on website than Instagram. That's probably the best advice that we could give you. Like, don't worry about it. But we could talk about like the key things that you need to include on your Instagram, like your bio, what it should include, and what works. Just like website, it needs to be easy for people to digest, to know like what your name, your location, the services that you do. You make sure that you mention that on your bio, so that people, that your target audience would know, would make sure that it's aligned to what they're looking for.
I was just gonna say, and then for the link in bio, you have that. It used to be that we can only use one link, right? And so it was really, really important that you get that one link maximized. Now we're lucky we can have multiple links. But if you do have like a landing page, to say, you open up this page, and then it's a springboard to other pages and other links. Our advice would be that you don't use a third party provider for that link landing page. Just create a separate blank page from your website using your own template. Follow the cohesiveness with your own website, and then just create your own landing page. Like, this is where to contact me. These are the things that I do. And then here's a link to my lead form, that kind of thing. Just like break it down easy, so that somebody who maybe just follow their like train of thought, right? Like maybe somebody Googled you, or maybe somebody got a referral to your Instagram page. And then now they're like, oh, I like this person, I want to contact them. And then they hit that link in bio, and then they need to be able to contact you. Right. So it's like, follow that like little trail of steps, and then just make sure that like, what is this person looking for? And is that easy to find? And then just like put it out on your landing page. Don't use a third-party provider. Why give them the traffic?
Yeah.
Give your website the traffic.
Yes. Give them traffic.
That is so important, because like there's so many times people find your Instagram first, and then they want to like see what else you do. So they're going to click on things. And it's really nice now that Instagram has a thing where you can put multiple websites on it. So it's not just
finally
one. I don't know how many you can add now. I think I have like
5, I think.
Five.
Up to 5, yeah.
That's pretty good. But I think that the main one should always just be like your page with the links in it. That took a little bit more time to do, but it's doable, and it's nice because it's in your style, your branding, your colors. It doesn't have to be like, some other one out there.
Yeah. Give yourself some traffic.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then
um,
also populate the email button, in the profile. So many people don't use that. I don't know why. Use the email button. Make it like your email should live on so many different places. I think I mentioned that like 10 times
mhm.
already. Like just an obsessive amount of like easy ways to contact you.
Yeah.
Message me, email me, leave forms. Like
Yeah.
it has to be extremely easy for
Yeah.
somebody to read.
Mhm.
And it also helps like to have like a spelled out CTA contact me here. And then link it either to your contact form or email. So just make it super, super clear. The easier it is for them to find that, the more likely that they're gonna contact you. Um, Pictures. I want to say, I know that we all have logos and whatnot, but a picture of yourself is more important than logo because nobody ever remembers logo, but they remember face.
You're talking about the profile photo, right?
Yeah. Um, because I can tell you, like, there's so many like calligrapher this, calligrapher that. I I can't remember your names if you don't have a picture. And like if you want to refer someone, I'm like, I can't remember what their name was. And it's just harder to connect that human connectivity when it's like a logo. It's like I don't remember. And then imagine if you're being the client, right? You're like I really like this um artist, but I could remember. So having a picture is definitely better than having a logo, um, because yourself is your branding, and you're an artist, you're an entertainer. If you think about like other type of entertainers like Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Drake, they don't have a logo. They might have an emoji, but like if you think of them, you think of their face, right? um Unless if it's like a band, but if it's like an individual, like your own artist, it's always a face.
I didn't even
You-
think about
That's
that.
true. Yeah, I was just saying.
That got me.
I saw Michelle's face, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same way.
Yeah,
Like,
I want to be like
thought about it that
Beyonce.
way.
I want,
Yeah, I want to just be known for my face."
yeah. So
But it's true. And like maybe just a tangent is like there is a bit of an added layer of a difficulty when your business name is not your personal name, because it's just like Telisa said, it's just like another layer of like having to remember like who this person is and what their business name is, and then now like their logo and then the face. It's just like different layers that you have to kind of remember. Like how many times do we like know somebody's Instagram handle and like we don't know their name?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then like you
Joking.
can right? And you can like kind of remember that profile photo and you're like, I see letters in my mind and I just like I don't remember that person's name. Like that if you have to like think too hard, then it's it's too hard. It's too hard for a client to
Yeah.
like snap and remember.
Yeah, you don't want to be easily forgotten because didn't put a face on it. It just humanized your brand too, right?
It's less
Again,
scammy feeling.
yeah. And like again, it's how do I say it? Oh my God, I forgot what I was gonna say, but what is it? I said humanize. Yeah, humanize your brand. Unless, of course, if you have like maybe like a big team or something, then that's a different story. Like for example, not related to live event, like our Event Ready podcast, we have a logo because there's three of us, right? There used to be two of us, and there's three of us.
Don't you forget
it's
it.
different. Yeah. But we plaster our faces all over the feed,
Yeah.
so you know what we look like. But we're not here to be hired, right? We're just here to like educate and entertain.
Edutain.
Edutainers.
What else? Yeah, so I think we talk about how clients follow you after you work and silently watch what you're doing. So make sure you curate what you share, and share what you're proud of.
Oh
Really
yeah.
Yeah,
important.
they and sometimes it's not so much that they're like following you to like watch you. Like yes, they have better things to do than like to spy on you. But it is like you're kind of like part of their feed. You're popping up on their stories. It's like it's a really nice way to stay like top of mind. And if you're like kind of at some point like you fell off, but then oh like Valentine's Day rolls around and you did this thing and that gig, and then they kind of like just like had that like little like switch flick on, and they saw you like, oh, she worked at this thing and she worked at that, and it's like it's a good like little healthy reminder, right, to like to pop up. And then they think of you, you're now like refreshed from like this position back to here. So it's like show your best work so that when you do come across their page again and their feed, that like it's like boom, like wow, what an impression. Not like, oh, what's going on here? Like you don't want
Yeah.
that kind of impression, right? You don't want to remind them of something that you're like, I don't know about this. So yeah, make a good impression on the reminder.
Mhm. And that
Yeah.
adds to the touch points, the marketing touch points. Like you never know if someone like maybe they're on the fence of hiring you, but then you keep popping up on their Instagram feed somehow. And then after a while they're gonna be like, oh yeah, yeah, this you did that. Okay, yeah, let's do this together. Like now's the time. No, maybe it
Yeah,
wasn't before. Now it is
you're
now.
trying to you're trying to inspire the FOMO to the client, to be like, look what you're missing out on. Like, look at all these things
Mhm.
I'm doing.
I'm so fun.
There's definitely times when a client has said that to me, like at the day of the job. And they do say that. They're like, oh, it's been really exciting, like following you. You've been so busy doing this and that. And they like give a nod to like they've been watching, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, and it also motivates them to try to book you way in advance because they know that like, oh, she's doing this and this and this. We probably should like reach out to her 6 months in advance.
She's booked and busy.
And that's where that like they wouldn't know if they were only looking at my website,
mhm.
right?
You're right.
They would only
Yeah.
know when it's like on Instagram. And you like there's so many times when I get an inquiry, like new client inquiry, they would also mention, oh, I saw you were doing this at this place. Oh, I saw you were doing this and that event. And that became like there's like an immediate trust that like you've basically done this before. And that they could see the comments, like how it was perceived and it was shared, and that it was a successful, and then that becomes like a rehireability factor that you've already gained, or new hire, or new client, that you land. And because yeah, Instagram happened to be the place where you can share those stuff, right? So, but if you don't have anything that to share, I mean, you could still share something, but shares like when I didn't have a lot of live event jobs, I used to take a lot of commission studio, and I use that as a way to create content. Like I would show my process and I would show them what it's for and how it relates to their stories, how this can be part of their milestone, or like all that stuff. And that can evoke like emotions. You're like, oh, she can actually do this. Maybe she can do it live. You know, it's just there's always ways to get yourself noticed by taking these small steps.
Yeah. And then just like, don't overdo it either, because, you know, this we can't be spammy either. Then it's annoying, right? If somebody's always saying the same thing come up or something like that, where you're just like really really hammering on the same content or something like that, that's not like maybe super recent
Yeah.
or relevant. So just like keep that in mind too. Just show your best work, show what you're proud of, show your recent work. Yeah.
And then also,
Yeah.
I think like have fun with it. Like, don't think too much. Like, yeah, you have to do some level of curating for it, but also have fun. Like, you're showing an extension of yourself and your personality, and you want to make it like, I don't know, it's you, it's your branding also. So it's not too perfect. Like, I think that's for the website, but then when it comes to Instagram, make it like also fun, easily digestible stuff that you like. It's your portfolio pretty much.
Yeah. And there's also if the stuff that you don't want to be permanent. I mean, there's always stories, right? That's where I like to share like BTS process. Um, I use that as a portfolio as well because I don't always create a reel out of that or like post. I'm just like, this is just gonna go in my highlights.
Mhm.
Because I don't want to bore people of the same thing
Yeah.
over and over again. Like I'm writing the same name over and over again on the same perfume over and over again. So it just goes on to my story highlights. And speaking of talking about the feed, I know that like Instagram is pushing on the reels because it's like a video format. That's good if you're content creation. But I have noticed many times when I'm on site, I have like customers or like, sales associate wanting to see like my work. And it's just easier to screenshot like a static post. So have like a carousel post that they can like really look at. Oh, I like that you put the name under the label like that. I like that you write it this way. As opposed to videos, it keeps like moving. It's like it's so hard to like I like wait that one like it's you know what I mean? Like it's hard to like
And
show them what
and
they
being
want.
able to zoom in,
Yeah.
like yeah, totally. I feel that because nobody, when we're on site, just like you said, it becomes like a reference
Mhm.
point, and then they want to like even sometimes to refer to you like, oh, can you do something like that I saw you do on your thing, and then they're gonna pull up a reel and like wait until it gets to that point. Like it's not like that's not helpful.
It's like only like a few seconds. You're like,
They're like, wait, just
Let me rewatch it
let me repeat
again.
again.
here's the thing about reels, right? Like I personally, like I really like creating them. I like putting them together and like having it all like sort of like laid out, and it's the video clip is ready to go. But like I hate the captioning, the tagging, the like blah blah blah, like finding the topics, and then like it like everything like logistical about it annoys me, but I quite like putting together the reel. That's just like that's satisfying, like the creative part, like where I'm like, oh, this looks really cool. Like the audio sounds right and it's on beat. Like, all those things, like I enjoy like putting it together, but like the actual putting it onto and posting it is like, oh, for me.
Yeah. That part
So
takes.
thank you for giving us the permission and reminder and advice to do posts, because I feel like I really needed that.
I think it's good to have a mixture of both. Like you can
Yeah,
have,
diversify.
yeah, you have some like regular photos, and then you have like the fun reels and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it just looks nicer. I've had that too. When I taught the class, someone was like holding the picture that I just did, and she just had it out and she was kind of like copying it at the same time. So it was like a direct reference, like what she wants to see. And like you can easily share that. Like some people don't have time to watch 15 seconds. They just want to see the photo right there. That's too long.
Oh, no, it's true. Like this is literally happening all the time. This is why don't stress about it, don't overthink it. Just post, but before you post, make sure you edit the picture to make it look consistent and cohesive and try not to make it too busy. When it comes to like curating your feed. And I think it's still important for social media for like Instagram. Like the first 9 feed is like super important. This is why I have like my pinned posts where I showcase all of my work all in one carousel. And it's just really helpful to like show them like, oh, you're looking for because sometimes like when I'm doing on-site, another potential client would ask me like, oh, what else do you do? Do you also do engraving? Do you also do painting? That's where I can just open my Instagram and open my pinned post that shows just bottle painting. Like it has like multiple, pictures like portfolio, the ones that I've done in the past, or like maybe like, oh, I also do fashion illustration. I just like scroll here. I also do portrait illustration. Scroll here. Like it's just easy, right? And it's pinned, so it's always on top. I love that pinned feature that we finally have on Instagram. I think it's very, very useful. So definitely use every new feature that's coming out that could potentially be useful in displaying your art.
I like that you share that from your experience and what clients are asking you, that you curated your profile to reflect that and make it easier for you when you're on site and what people
Mm-hmm.
want to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And people always like easy
Yeah.
scroll.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um,
because when you're on site, do you find that like when you get those questions, like what else do you do, or do you do this for brands? Do you do this for weddings? And they have questions, right? And I've come to adopt an answer that I find is kind of funny, but it works. I'm like, can I just give you my Instagram, or like, can you just scan this? And then it's just like, it's just faster. Like I like to use the visual to communicate that. I
yeah.
don't even want to explain it with words. I'm like, oh, here, like, here's
Yeah.
this. And then you can just see it. And then that's like, that communicates it so much faster.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, having, like you said, having that pin post,
Yeah.
it's very helpful.
It's the new
Yeah.
business card.
Yeah. Like the QR code is
It
so
is.
useful. I used to have QR code for like website, Instagram and TikTok. Now I just do Instagram because like
Yeah.
nobody really cares about the website. They
Yeah.
just want to see the quick portfolio, which is easier. Instagram, everybody's on Instagram. All of these marketing professionals are on Instagram. So, and then they want to, and then they always um once they decide they want to hire, they always email. They never DM. So because they're still it's still a professional thing,
I'm
right?
so happy you said that, Telisa. This is like such a good point because I think, a lot of people tend to mix the two things up, thinking like, well, I don't get any business from Instagram. So like, I don't need to like worry about Instagram as like a form of business communication. It's not that you're getting clients like specifically off a DM or something like that. Like you're not just because you're not getting leads through Instagram doesn't mean somebody's not looking at you from that perspective and then coming around to email you or coming around to your lead form where you think maybe that came from Google or referral or whatever source. Like they could have just browsed you or just
Yeah,
like hopped off 2 reels to find you. Like you have no idea. It's not that they're not hanging out there. They are.
they are. They're hanging out there more for sure. Yeah.
Mm.
So, yeah. Um, so I use a creator account as opposed to business profile for Instagram. What are you guys using?
Mm, I don't.
Creator.
Creator profile.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you get more features with that,
Yeah.
I think.
Then business.
Yeah, I did have business for a while and I was like, how come I can't do that or see this?
Music. Yeah, add music.
Yeah, okay, that's the thing. It was the music.
We need music.
I needed the music, yeah.
Yeah, we need to create a vibe. Right? Yeah, so use a creator account as opposed to a business profile for better access. The only thing with the creator account, um it doesn't show like your city is not like the linked anymore. So you have to include that as a part of a bio. Like you have to actually type it up. But if your business profile, it can add the city that you're in. Does that make sense? So that's the only thing. But it's very like minor. It's not even an issue. So yeah, use creator account for more access to more features. Um, what else? Let's talk about how some clients don't necessarily want you to publish. Like,
Oh, yeah, for
yay.
sure. I've had a decent amount of experience with that. Some brands just some brands just don't I mean part of it is exclusivity too, you know. They don't want that kind of like uncontrolled social media, like tagging them and like reposting and all that stuff. Like they would like to like maintain like a low key presence, like very luxury. Like we don't want any, you know, random stories here and there, people popping into the store, like doing this, doing that. Like they don't want that kind of exposure. That the exclusivity is important to them.
Mhm.
Um, and I think there's like a thought about it that, you know, as artists on our side, on the community side, we feel like, oh my gosh, like why does this brand like not want to like let us, you know, showcase our work? And we think of it like of how that might hurt us. But I think it's important to think about from like their perspective. Like this is a business risk to them. You know, if you're taking a picture on site and you're like, oh, here's the thing that I've engraved and I'm taking a picture of it, but the customer is standing on the other side and you know they're in the photo and you didn't mean to like include that person's face in it, but they are in your photo. And maybe they just, you know, it's part of protecting the client's privacy. They're protecting, you know, the store, the brand. So it's just from their perspective, they're just trying to mitigate that risk. And also sometimes if the activation is like quite wide, you know, if it's across like 20 different locations, maybe they don't have a very good control over what artwork is being produced and on what, and maybe they just want to keep the event like tight and tidy, and we just don't want like pictures of all sorts of different locations doing different styles or different on different products. So they just want to like keep it cohesive. And we just need to respect that and maybe, you know, just respect their side of the story and not just how it might affect us. And that's okay. Like some clients are very happy for you to include them on social media and some clients
Yeah.
are, that's okay.
Yes.
And
Yes, yes.
this is like, do they tell you this before the event happens?
Yes.
Like, how does that
Usually,
So
work?
yes.
yeah, so this particular brand, you know, when they engage us, it comes in like a PDF brief where they have like a thought out like, you know, 6-page document about, you know, this event, what product is being personalized and what the display should look like, what style are we going for, and then kind of like little ground rules about the artist, like, you know, no self-promotion at the event, no social media, no tagging, that sort of thing. And they just like outline what they expect of the people they hire. And if you agree to that, then you're taking that job having implicitly saying okay to all those points. um that's how the communication happens.
That's so good. Like, you know ahead of time what you can and can't post. And I think that's really good because it's all about respect, right? You want to respect you're working for this client. That's your client, so you should ultimately respect whatever they want to do. And also they're hiring you. So
Yeah, and you have the freedom to not agree with that, right? You can be as the artist saying like, "Oh no, I don't want to work with somebody who doesn't let me own the artwork." Great. And you just say, I'm not okay with these terms. I'd love to refer this and this artist. If you want to contact them, and you're free to do that. Like, no one's ever forcing you to, take a job that you don't want to. Some terms you
Yeah.
just might not personally agree with, and that's okay. But I think if you're going to take that job, respect the job, respect the client, and everything that they've asked you to do. If you agree to them, then just, be
yeah.
happy.
I had to
Yeah.
like these contracts come in and it's very wordy. So I actually had to clarify it with the manager and I said, "Well, what is this about? I don't understand. You don't want me to post this and this." And she was like, "Oh no, it's like you want to protect the client's safety. So that's what we're looking to do, but it's not anything to do with like artwork." So sometimes it could be like maybe you just need clarification or reread it and see what it's
Yeah.
actually asking of you because it's all different. Every single brand is like they have their own rules.
Yeah. And you
Yeah,
have to respect
you're
the
right.
rules.
One brand that I work for is kind of you just reminded me of that because it wasn't ever said in any sort of written communication. And then when I got there on site, the store manager, like the store manager actually came and just like gave me a quick little like, "Oh, just so you know, like we're totally okay with you like snapping photos and all that stuff. Just make sure you don't catch anybody's face."
Yeah.
And again, it's just like that's what I'm like reminded of when I gave my earlier example. It's just like, like a client's face, it's not just their facial feature being in a photo. It's the fact that like they're in that store at that time at that location. Like though it is like multifaceted, that like private information about that person.
Yeah.
Or one time it was also like, oh, you can take photos but not of full names, right?
Yeah.
If it's just like a first name, great. But if it's like somebody's full name, that can be very revealing, right?
Yeah.
Especially if it's a very unique name. And those are just all things that it's best to ask, you know, can I
Yeah.
take photos? And like, if you do have limitations, what are they? And if you don't want me to post it anywhere, let me know.
Mhm.
Use portrait mode, guys. It blurs out the background and cinematic.
Always.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of my clients also have said like no faces. Like if you want to take a picture, just make sure that the customer's face is not there. And yeah, I never post anything with their face and you're protecting their information.
Mhm.
Really, really important.
Oh yeah, safety.
Yes. Oh, speaking of safety, um, and practice use of social media, I guess, well, this is my own personal choice. Um, I actually used to share where the events I'm going to be. Like maybe as early as a year ago until I started to I guess face harassment. Because you're in public space, right? And I started to feel like uncomfortable and unsafe to promote that. So I stopped sharing where I'm going to be. So I share when the event is done and I'm already home. Just to be like safe. So this is like, it's a personal choice. Also, like if you feel like you don't feel safe, that's also okay because I'm also doing that too. I made a mistake. Um, but I didn't want to get stalked. Just say that. Because you don't know how people are because you are in different places every single time. And I don't know, things can get really scary.
Right. No, I like that you mentioned that. It's like personal safety. You don't know what's going to happen at these events
Mm.
that go on. You don't know who's looking at your profile. And so, you know, if a customer, I mean, if they really wanted to find you and they want to get something from you, they can like email you or they can contact you somehow. It doesn't always
Mhm.
have to be at an event. Yeah, that's so important. There, you just don't know.
Yeah, I've definitely had a few instances where I feel like some creepy like took my business card, and I actually don't put out my business card anymore because of that. Uh, I just keep it hidden, but when someone asks, if I, feel a positive vibe, then I would give them my business card. It's just, I don't know, man. There's so many crazy people
Mhm.
around here, that I just want to make sure that I'm safe.
I have,
And yeah, like another factor too for you to Lisa, like you have so many repeat like event clients that
Mhm.
like you at some point become like predictable to find, like it's easy to find you in certain
Yeah.
places. So yeah, I can see how that can be a personal concern.
Yeah. So if someone wants to know where I'm gonna be at, I just tell them where I would be at. Like, hey, I'm gonna be here next. But I don't post it anymore due to safety concern.
Do we want to talk about LinkedIn?
Oh, I forgot about LinkedIn.
oh,
Is that considered I guess it is social media.
Yeah, it is.
Um, I'm rarely on it, but
I've,
I created a profile and then kind of posted like the bare bones stuff. And funny enough, I did get a couple of leads from LinkedIn. You know, like people are also hanging out on there.
yeah.
Um, and not necessarily just like um corporate businesses. You know, I the first lead I got from LinkedIn was from a luxury brand. It didn't close, but we had a full conversation on like LinkedIn chat, where he reached out to me and then we like talked over email and then like things didn't work out, but um, you know, it's just another potential place to get found,
Mhm.
or just through just maybe not that they're actively searching, but it could be through like through tags or your contact could be shared there. Um, I just like just it just popped up in my head like, oh, we didn't mention LinkedIn.
Yeah. I forgot about it. It
uh,
is where the professional like also hang out. Mhm.
I think if you spend the time to curate it, you make connections on there, things can happen. Like where you put your energy, results will come from there. So I know some people who've gotten leads from there. Now I know that you did, Isabel, but there's other
Mhm.
artists that actually make connections there and they get hired too. So I think it's a really great platform to have.
Mhm.
I personally have abandoned mines because it's another platform I don't want to take care of. But I can
And
see how it
maybe
works.
yeah, and maybe that's the advice. It's not so much that like you need to have like a full-fledged, like always updated, always like beautiful portfolio. It's like I maybe just my kind of like strategy with that is I spend so much effort and like my activity is on Instagram. So then all these other things, I kind of just like create the profile. I exist, like I'm searchable there. And then you can see a bit of my portfolio there. And I have contact information there. And that's kind of like the bare minimum on that platform. And I'm happy to just like have that exist without my constantly like babying it and like I do with Instagram where like I'm hanging out there all the time and if I have something I want to post like that's where I go, but all these other platforms just have some sort of like skeleton
Yeah.
profile there and that could be just good enough.
Mhm.
Mhm. I used to be a little bit more active on LinkedIn. I think beginning of like after COVID time, it was kind of hard for me to be active there because I used to use that so much for my old corporate job and coming back because I didn't want to recreate a new, you know, profile because I was too lazy to do that. So I just kind of update my resume, my rank LinkedIn resume that I am now a self-employed, like a like a self-employed artists that I do live event, and I would share some blogs that I wrote and then like would post it on LinkedIn. And but I feel like my copywriting and my tone is so different on LinkedIn. Like definitely not as laid back as Instagram and TikTok because it's a corporate lingo, right?
Your brain
Yeah.
like instantly switches to like HR professional.
Yeah. And then like, I am very honored to have worked with such and such. Um yeah, it's very like I'm wearing a suit and tie kind of tone. Um because that's how everybody talk like over there. And yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a place that you can also pitch as well, I guess, if you want, and just post your portfolio. I think um I remember seeing on LinkedIn you can have highlights, I think.
Yeah.
Of
Oh
like
yes, yeah, kind of in a similar vibe as like a pinned post.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah, they're like kind of the first things that you can see on top that's always kind of floating there.
yeah. And I always sometimes I get tagged there for like an event that I did. Um and I had no idea and then I looked at it. Um so yeah, and then I would just repost it. And that's always fun when that happens.
Yeah, because they're
Uh,
posting like these the event managers sometimes they make that post as like a as a task for like their bosses to see. Right? Like
yeah,
this such and such event was so successful in blah and blah location when we launched this and that. And they just want to like show that like, hey, like look what a great job I did and the team did and in this location
yeah.
this store did that and we made such an impression on like they just want to showcase that too for themselves and lucky that they tagged you.
Yeah. So under providing services, I'm just looking at my LinkedIn right
Mm.
now. Um, so under providing services, and you can add details, and from there you can add about your location, your pricing, services that you're providing, and then under media, that's like your highlights. So yeah, apparently you could do that. And from there, from that view, they can request project, like they're requesting inquiries. Um, so
Yes,
that's pretty cool.
this took us by shock.
I did not know that.
Yeah, this is
um
definitely a new thing.
It shocked me when I received that lead through LinkedIn and I got the email and it was in the form of like a lead form that I did not
Like a
create.
CMS. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this looks like a lead form, but it's coming from LinkedIn, and I don't think I've ever like set something like this up. But it was a
Yeah.
built-in feature from
Mhm.
LinkedIn that because I said I was providing services in this category, and then there's just like this funnel that they had already created like name,
Yeah.
email, what are you looking for, what kind of service, what kind of deadline, and then they
Yeah.
just ask them to elaborate and they can just send this like sort of standardized form to you, goes through your messages and goes to your email and you can submit a proposal back. And it was like, ooh, this is
I'm like
interesting.
fancy. Yeah. And it's nice to see like the evolution of LinkedIn doing that, seeing probably LinkedIn sees there's a lot of people who are also freelancer or consultant providing services to companies and they see like, well, we gotta capitalize on making sure that they're actually using our platform as a way to manage the project. So I think that's pretty cool that they start doing that. And this is, yeah, by fluke. We noticed this new
Yeah,
feature.
completely by fluke. I had no
Yeah.
idea. I was like, did I set this up? This looks slick. No, I
I
didn't.
need to get back on it now.
Yeah. 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 Pretty cool. It hasn't been successful. Like, I mean, I haven't received anything from that. I'm not saying it's not successful. Like, I haven't really received any inquiry from that. Maybe in the 5, 10 like years down the road, like it's gonna be more in demand to be used. I don't know, but it's good to like have it, you know, have it posted, like have it like oh my God, my brain is tired. It's like past 1 a.m.
Oh
right
my
now.
God.
It's good to have it set up.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just have it kind of like I said, just have the bare bones. Just it's set up. Your name is there. You can be searched. You can be contacted. Just have a profile living there, and that's enough.
Mhm. It's just like working. It's working in it's like background. It's like working for you when you're not actively like on it every single day. And like you said, Isabel, you just get random things from it, maybe. Maybe not. It's just extra.
Who knows? And yeah, all of this is like on your own time.
Mhm.
This
Yeah.
don't doesn't all have to be accomplished in one step. Like publish your website and like get your Instagram going and also do this and
True.
also do that. Like these don't all have to happen together. Like we
No.
all like months down the road, like, oh, I feel like I can set up a LinkedIn profile then now. Like,
Yeah,
yes, that's okay.
go on your own pace. Like, don't stress out. You gotta take care of your mental health too. Like, you don't have to hustle. Um, Take one thing at a time.
Mhm.
Schedule it out or something, right? Like not schedule posting, but schedule like when you need to do this, when you need to set this up, when you need to set that up. But don't feel like overwhelmed. Like we're just sharing what worked and what didn't work and what are the options out
The
there.
options, that's right.
Yeah.
These are all the options, all the bonus. Like none of these are necessary. It's just
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
cool to have just working in the background.
Yeah. So actionable advice from us. I guess it's almost like a conclusion because we pretty
Mhm.
much shared all of our advice.
Yeah.
Um, would be, yeah, put your name, your location, and your face clearly, not just your logo.
Hmm.
And Isabel, you look like you want to say something.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, when you're posting work and showcasing your portfolio, think of it from the perspective of the client, right? Like that's what they want to see, what they can picture, um, working for them. So use artwork that you want to be hired for. If you don't have the clients yet, that's okay. Just create the work that you want to be hired for. Take photos of that, or what we call like the fake portfolio. Um, but at the same time, when you're doing that, just be careful to be clear, that you can say, I honestly, like you can pretend that it's a hired private commission, like you can say a friend hired you, or you can say somebody hired you to, engrave this special bottle of perfume for their wedding or something like that. But just be clear that you're not implying that you've worked or collaborated with a brand when they are in fact not actually your client. I think that could cause some maybe legal trouble, or
Mhm.
I don't know, just like don't play that, like don't play with that borderline, and just like don't be vague. Just be clear that this is a private hire, or you're just doing it as a favor for a friend or for somebody's birthday. Do that, and just use the photo to communicate that and nothing
Mm.
else.
Yeah.
I'd I'd be careful when it comes to tagging a brand. Um, Sometimes, not sometimes, but the legal issue could be um realized when they are being tagged, and they'll be like, "What's this? This isn't aligned with our brand." Especially when they're like unexpected, they're not expecting it. So, um, just be mindful when you're tagging. Um, I don't usually tag sometimes unless they are very aware that I work with, like, that they're okay with it. Um, I feel like mentioning is probably safer than tagging because sometimes some brands don't want to be tagged.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, but
And those brands are the brands that you are not able to tag to
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah,
They
yeah,
don't allow that, because then that your artwork is filed under their profile, and that's some brands just don't want that.
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's
I
their
was just
prerogative.
thinking that they can look at that section on Instagram where they can see everyone's photos.
Just tag you.
Mhm.
And yeah, if that doesn't look right, or maybe just they just don't like it, then they can get really upset. And I don't know, you don't want to find out what happens.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. Um, yeah, just again keep sh- posting your presentable work, um, and use it to educate, entertain, and market yourself.
And not be
And
focused on going viral.
yes, you don't gotta worry about that. Yeah,
Or
don't
even
try to go viral.
growing your following, or growing your engagement. Just have an updated portfolio.
Yeah, just the algorithm is not healthy for your mental health anyway. Like it's they're making it super hard now, Instagram, in comparison to like 10 years ago, where it was so easy to get bigger followings. Now it's extremely hard. So like don't waste your energy on trying to grow following numbers or being viral because it really has no relations of you being hired by a brand.
Yeah. And maybe I'll just bring this back into perspective, that we kind of touched on it when we were talking about pastime to paycheck, was like social media. Um, at one point in time, or maybe it's still true for a lot of people, but I use it now, to make friends and like build community and hang out with my peers. And at the same time, I'm showcasing my work, and it's kind of like a two birds with one stone kind of
Mm-hmm.
benefit. Like, I get to do all this artwork and then make friends while I'm at it and make connections. Like, just remember, at the end of the day, like, social media, we're here to interact and
Socialize.
socialize. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, how many friends have we met? Like, you guys, like, I met through Instagram. Like,
We
um,
did.
yeah, like, we're here to do this, right? To
Mhm.
collaborate and make like real connections with people. Um it doesn't have to be like a big serious business thing, and it doesn't have to be like just a very silly casual, like, no holds barred. Like, there's something in between where you can be professional and have community, and it can be a really useful tool to,
Mhm.
just don't let it consume you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hmm. I agree with that. Yeah, definitely. I'm actually personally, I'm using social media one as an extension to my branding to socialize. I spend a lot of time on a DM rather than the explore page and whatnot. I don't really scroll too much on like, content really. Um, but I do like having that meaningful relationship with the people that I connect with.
Yeah. I do like that because you never know. Like maybe someone's going through the same problems as you, and you can talk about that together, or just little things here and there. You're building the community, and you're getting
Mhm.
to know peers who also do the same thing as you. Because this can go on forever, but it's like you don't get to see them. So
Mhm.
this is where you get to talk to people who do the same thing as you. I think there's like 5 calligraphers in Hawaii, including myself. So it's very, very small. So we all
Oh, very
just
small.
connect through Instagram.
Mm.
And that's what it's used for. It's social media. It should be used for that
Yeah.
too.
Sometime this one time, this past Valentine's Day, I was working on site and this lady came up to me and said, oh, I'm actually I know I'm from Toronto and I know somebody who does what you do in Toronto. And then she's like, oh, but like oh, there's probably like a lot of you and you might not know her. And I was like, oh, try me. Because I was like, this is honestly like it's a huge community, but at the same time, it's so small.
So
We all
niche. Yeah.
yeah, like we all know each other. And like, what are the chances I'm gonna know somebody in Canada? Like very high. Right? And so she gives me her name, and I was like, oh yes, of course. And then I messaged that artist afterwards. I was like, oh, guess who I met? Your college friend. And and it's just like it's just so funny because like social media can do that. Like there's so like cute little magical moments that happen with it that uh, of course, without Instagram, I wouldn't know this person and I wouldn't have this community of people
Yeah.
who do this. And in your immediate circle in real life, like how many other life artists do they know? They don't. They know me.
It's
Like I am the only one in their circle, right? But for us, like we know like 500 of us, right?
yeah.
It's
It's so niche. Like this being live event artist is such a small niche.
it really is.
Yeah, it's a very niche job.
And I was gonna say, Isabel, like it's also part of networking, and networking is a huge part of business as well. So
Mhm.
it everything we do, it helps. And like being super niche, like you gotta find your peoples.
Mhm.
That's what
Yeah, no, that's such a good point. Like networking between artists and like having a good reputation among the artists that you know and work with and refer to and from, like having that is priceless, right? Like it's not just about client referrals. We also get a lot of artist referrals across the country, across the world sometimes. Somebody's an international referral. That happens all the time. And if you have, you maintain these relationships and you make these good connections with people, like it really, really, really matters.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it really matters who are connected to you. I want to mention one thing, which is probably something that a lot of artists probably have been asked, is like when they are being asked to work for exposure, we're gonna tag you, we're gonna mention you. And can we talk about that?
I can't believe, yeah, we didn't touch
Yeah.
on
Yeah, we
that.
didn't.
Like
Yeah.
it's such a good thing to bring up. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
it at this point, thankfully, I think that's been like talked about a decent amount, but it's good that we're like really broadcasting it here and amplifying that. Like it's not okay to reach out to an artist to work simply for exposure and nothing else.
Did you
Where the incent yeah, where
You
the
guys
incentive
both
is
did
just
that.
being tagged. Yeah. Where the if the incentive is just being tagged in stories or website, it won't do much. I can promise you that. Um, because I've been, I mean, a lot of us have been requested with that kind of inquiries. Oh, there's gonna be a lot of influencers in this event. Oh, there's gonna be a lot of and then it doesn't always promise leads after that. It's just because when you are getting tagged with so many influencers after an event, it just goes into your stories, but that's it. um Maybe though some clients may like see like, oh, I've seen that person before, but if like it has just a like a like a just an influx, not an influx, I would say. Oh my God, like I'm getting, my brain is getting tired now. It's just like just a small spike of engagement of like profile visit, but they
Yeah.
don't necessarily follow you after. So
Yeah. And then the exposure is to if you think down the pipeline of like who these clicks are from, they aren't from people that we're looking to get work from, right? Like if you get tagged by influencers, like who are their target audience? Those are the people that they're selling to, and what are the chances that though anyone in that pool are our target audience or target client? Like
yeah,
it's gonna be little to no overlap there, right?
yeah.
Um,
So you might as well get paid with real compensation, not exposure. Um, right. So yeah, something to consider. However, it doesn't mean that working to get experience is always bad. I think like, if you don't have any experience at all and you want to have the experience of live event, um, there's nothing wrong with it as long as because you sometimes you want to know how it feels. Like my very first on-site experience was actually me doing like like a community thing. It was like a volunteer thing because I wanted to know how it feels, right? So but when you're already in the industry and then you're being asked to like work for exposure, and that's a red flag because one, it doesn't lead to any leads.
Yeah, like I'm glad you mentioned that because there's of course with anything there's some nuance to it where you have the option of course to donate your time and do a job for free, but that's on your terms, right? Like
Mhm.
if a nonprofit is coming and asking you for a donation of your services in kind, and it's like it's a cause that you really believe in, are personally like really emotionally tied to or something, and you're like, oh, of course I would be glad to donate my time for this organization and do this event. That's totally up to you, and that's there's nothing wrong with that, of course. Or you're giving a discount for that job, or it's a collaboration that like you've desperately wanted, and maybe they're paying you with product instead of with money or something. Like there's always terms to every job that you have the full power to say yes or no to. Obviously we are not the police for what you should or shouldn't do, but we're definitely discouraging like the social media exposure
Yeah.
specific line of saying like, oh, there's going to be this and this and this many influencers that are going to be at the event, and then this is going to help you a lot. And the fact that they claim that's the problem.
It's a red flag.
That's a red flag.
Yeah. Yeah, they're implying they know something about your business and your target audience when they don't, right?
Like,
And
does
so
it look
that's
like I need help? I don't think so.
that's the red flag.
Yeah. Right. So I think we've covered pretty much everything about social media. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be more. If there is more, there's gonna be more episodes. Um, we don't know what we're gonna be talking about next, but um, but thank you again for listening to our episode on social media. I hope you learned something new. And don't forget to give us some feedback. Follow us on Instagram on Event Ready Pod. And we'll see you next time on our next episode. Bye.
Bye.